exercise called oblique rollbacks. And by the name of the exercise, oblique rollbacks, you might guess that it has something to do with the obliques, and you're absolutely right, particularly those external obliques that are also one of the muscles that we use to scoop. So you might recall that the external obliques, they help us to flex the spine forward, but they also are very important in spinal rotation. And in this particular exercise, they'll get a chance to do both. And so it's really important to connect the mind with the obliques in this particular case. All right, so here's what this looks like. We're going to sit here with our heels down, our toes up, nice tall spine, and the arms out at the front. Now I'm starting with my sits bones really firmly planted into the floor and my pelvis in neutral. So if I turn this way for you to see, what is not happening is I'm not tilted back like this. This is not a good starting position for the oblique rollbacks. We will flex the spine in this exercise, but we want to start nice and tall because the idea is to move the pelvis through the full range of motion for this particular exercise. Okay, so starting nice and tall, the arms are out in the front. And what I'm going to do is initiate spinal flexion from the bottom up. Okay, so rather than me flexing the spine like this, starting from the top down, I'm going to initiate spinal flexion by tucking my tailbone under and rounding from the bottom. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, so we're initiating spinal flexion from the bottom up, and we do that just by rolling the pelvis back and tucking the tailbone underneath. Okay, so starting position here. Now, as we flex the spine from the bottom up, we are also at the same time rotating back. We're looking over the shoulder and then coming back to center, reaching the arms above the head, nice tall spine, and doing the same thing on the other side. So tucking and rolling, reaching back, looking over the shoulder, and coming back to the center. Now, what sometimes happens on this is that rather than just rotating through the thoracic spine where our rib cage is, if somebody is not real flexible through the thoracic spine, their hips will sometimes want to kind of help out with this. So I'll see if I can get in a position where you can see this happening. If I come back and my hips, you see how my hips are kind of rolling, and then I'm coming up, and then my hips are going to the other side. Okay, and sometimes this can be subtle. I'm trying to sort of exaggerate it here so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about, but even those little subtle hip movements are not what we want. All we want to be happening with the hips is this pelvic tucking back and forth. Okay, so an anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. Where we want the rotation to be coming from is right here in the thoracic spine. So we want all this to happen at the same time. So let me show you what this would look like all together. I'm going to inhale to prepare here at the top. Exhale, tuck and roll, look over the shoulder. And exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. And exhale up. All right, so that's the basic idea. Another thing to kind of think about with this that'll make this exercise even more effective is if on the way back up, you can imagine that you are dragging something really, really heavy. So you're having to kind of engage this arm like you were trying to, really pull something. And so rather than just kind of floating the arm back, you get this really strong kind of arm movement. And obviously you can do the movement without that. You can kind of flow the arms around, but you're going to get more out of it in terms of core stability, core strength, arm strength, back strength, if you can kind of have that imagery of I am tightening every muscle in this arm and trying to pull it back. At any point along the way, if I were to come over to you and try to pull your arm out of position, I shouldn't be able to. So you should be so strong here that if I were to try to pull it back, I wouldn't be able to budge it because it's that strong and tight. All right? So let's try this all together. We're going to do about 4 of these on each side, okay, back and forth. And not only do we want to think about tucking and rolling with the pelvis, rotating through the thoracic spine, but also now we're going to add in that idea of really making the arms come real strong on the way back. Okay, so let's try this here. Arms up to the center. Let's see, I want to get in a spot where you can see really well and I can reach full range of motion. Okay, it's a little tricky with the camera. All right, let's give this a try. Heels down, toes up, sitting nice and tall, right on those sitting bones, spine is in neutral. Arms come out front. We inhale to prepare with our scoop, of course, and we exhale and come down to the right, my left, your right. Make sure the spine is flexed and exhale back up. Find the neutral spine before you come back down. Inhale, exhale, strong arms, okay? Inhale, move the arm back, and then imagine dragging something really heavy forward. Good, inhale back, and exhale up. Make sure we're coming to neutral spine every time. Inhale, exhale, right? That's that tough part. Inhale, coming back, imagine pulling that something heavy. And one more time. We'll inhale back, look over the shoulder. Exhale up, and once more, inhale back, and exhale up. Over time, you can make this more difficult by trying to come back a little bit farther. So, when you're first starting, it may look like this when you come back. As you get more advanced, it may look like this when you come back, okay? Which obviously increases the difficulty. So you can kind of play around with your angle and how deep you go to make it more or less difficult. All right, so again, those were called oblique rollbacks.